Good afternoon and welcome to High Noon with Holmes. My name is Chris Simpson. We'd like to welcome everybody in today. We have a very special guest with us. Her name is Tamika Mitchell. Tamika is in the CIA. I'm just joking. She is a CIA, which is a certified international auditor, which means she can audit things in the U.S. and abroad. She is an MBA. She is a realtor, and more than that, I guess her biggest accolade is that she's one of my best friends. So we're super happy that you're here, Tamika. How you feeling today?
Wonderful. Great to be here.
Wonderful. And we're super excited to jump into this session today. As you know, it is February. And around February, we start to get our refund checks. So literally right now, you may be tuning in from your couch as you are looking out the window, waiting for the mailman to come, or as you scrolling through your bank information, waiting for that refund to hit. And so, excuse me, we are wanting to talk about the refund, but we're going to rethink the refund and sort of use the idea of getting this money to address spiritual concepts in reference to how we see money and how we use money. And so Tamika, she has a lot of very important insight from her experience and from her expertise. Tamika is my financial advisor. So, if ever I lose my way and I need to repent, I call her. So I wanted to bring her in to this forum so that we can hear her sort of explain some of these concepts. And so we're going to jump right into our interview. Tamika, what are some things that we should not do when we get this refund?
And this refund or this stimulus that everybody's waiting on.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like not like you may not be getting a refund, but maybe it's a refund, a stimulus, or any type of unexpected money or large sum that you may get when doing anything. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So first, let's see what the Bible says about this. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender." With that being said, I think it's important for us to just start rethinking some of these things. You are not in control when you go out and finance, your next living room set. You are not. You are actually slaving yourself to the lender. So I just want to kind of start there, level set, as we just start to reconfigure our mindsets around borrowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first thing that came to mind for me is this year, let's not go buy a car at high interest rates that we know will be breaking down before summer hits. We only know that because we've done this before, right? There are people who every year at tax time, they go out and purchase a new car.
Right.
We often are buying cars that are not reliable. They may look good. And part of this is actually not totally your fault. It's because you're being targeted heavily around this time. The car dealers, especially the ones who are selling lemons, they know that this is the only time that they can get the money from you. They know that you're out there right now scrolling, trying to find your next fly ride. And because of that, you are finding yourself stuck in this system where you're going to go spend your money, you're going to get a car, the transmission's going to go out, and then you're going to be without a car again very soon.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And I want to be clear, we do need transportation. So right. I'm not saying that we don't go buy a car. I'm saying we need to rethink our process. Let's get creative about what we can do. Can we go get a reliable car that does not require a car note? Mm-hmm. That, we can just pay $40 to have it checked out, for example, at the local mechanic shop. And that's an idea, a creative way. That's something we don't think about, because normally when you're scrapping, you don't think about spending money on something that you don't own yet. But that's an idea of how you plan and think ahead.
Yeah. What's funny, Tamika, I remember you actually helped me to get a car or two, like rethinking the process and going through it. And that was the first time I ever heard that you should actually, on your test drive, like you told me this, like, no, on your test drive it to your mechanic and be like, okay, I am going to take a test drive. I'm going to drive it. And like, you work this out. You ain't got to steal these people's car, but you work out, no, I need to have this car tested. Every one of us, we don't have a mechanic friend or, someone that we know that we can bring with us. So that is a super creative way. Like, before we make these purchases, to plan.
And it's important for you to spend the extra $40 or $50 ahead of time to avoid major issues you're going to have later, and you can't afford to get them fixed. And if there is a dealership that is unwilling to allow that, that should be a clue to you right there that that's not a place that you want to do business with.
That's right.
$1,000, any thousands, they should be okay with you getting it checked out independently. They're going to tell you, oh, we've already checked over it.
Right.
Okay. And I need to have it checked out independently.
That's right. Yeah.
The second thing is we live in this culture of constant upgrading. Let's not this year go upgrade the iPad. We don't need to upgrade our living room or our guest bathroom. It's, if you are in debt, this is not something that should be in on the top of your list in terms of priorities. So we get sucked into these cycles of feeling like we need this, we need that. And that's part of, again, is part of the marketing, is part of the ingrainment that's being put in our brains that don't get this new one, you are obsolete, just like your old phone, right?
Right.
So this is something that I think we need to go ahead and wrestle with, that we don't need to renovate or upgrade. We can deal with that older bathroom for a couple more years. It still works. Yeah. It's not it's not the best looking, but it still works. So, and this should not, like I said, this should not be a top priority when you're still in debt.
Yeah. Something that's interesting, what you're saying, Tamika, about how it's a mindset. It's something that the culture, our highly consumerist, highly materialistic culture, it actually convinces us that our worth is connected to things. So if our phone is obsolete, we must be obsolete. So on the other hand, if we upgrade our car, our phone, our TV, then it makes us actually feel upgraded internally. But, that's not the case. The reality is all of our worth comes from another place, and all of our worth comes from Christ. And we sort of have to break this mindset that keeps us trapped.
That's right. That's right, Chris. And so, like, if you went and bought a new TV for Super Bowl and you had a TV, for example, right. Excitement of that new TV lasts about as long as that game, and it's going to be just as disappointing as that game was.
The game was. Right.
Right. So that's not. It's not a long-term. It's not a long-term decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the last thing we want to talk about that we should not do is give it, spend it, or lend it all away. Whatever we do here, whatever we do here in terms of if you have, let's say you have someone that you've been wanting to bless, that's beautiful. When you get your refund, do that up into a certain amount. So I like to use the 15%. That's the same thing. If you've been wanting to purchase something, you're that mom who never buys yourself anything, right? This is your time. Okay, go have your shopping spree. Go buy that, whatever that is for you, but only spend up to 15% of what you receive. This will be important because it's giving you that little fix that you need to keep going, but it's also allowing you to position yourself to be in a better financial place next year.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Another question I have is, we've already discussed, some of your recommendations on what not to do with the refund. What are some of your recommendations as to what we should do?
So my first thing is we need to have a $1,000 emergency fund.
Yeah.
Emergency funds are so critical to households, but they are very rarely maintained. Yeah. So you often find yourself spiraling whenever something goes wrong. If your washer breaks, if your car goes out, if anything unexpected happens, you are finding yourself needing to borrow money, go to payday loans, being charged outrageous amounts that you can never actually pay off because the interest is so high.
Right.
And having an emergency fund allows you to get off of that hamster wheel.
And I think too, something that is important to distinguish, the $1,000 emergency fund is money that you have. I've even been challenged in my own budgeting, through the years when money's tight to say, okay, I'm going to save this credit card for emergencies. But again, like what you were talking about earlier, and from the scripture that you used, Tamika, that we become slaves to the lender. And so looking back at my own experiences and experiences of my friends, different family members, it's already difficult to face an emergency. Some emergencies are just like, okay, well, I need a new tire, right? Other emergencies could be like, I live 6.5, 7 hours away from my family. All right, well, I gotta go home because I've had a death in my family. I have to all of a sudden handle this emergency with money. And when you add an emergency on top of credit, now you got two bad things happening. It's like, I'm already stressed enough because of the emergency. Now I have to turn right around and add more stress because I am a slave to the person who gave me this money that I'll have to buy. Money I have to pay back, and money that as I pay back is going to add more stress in the future. And so it's just like stress upon stress. And that's why this $1,000 emergency fund is important, because it's your money.
That's right. And that's right. It's just like it's compounding stress, it's compounding interest.
Right.
But you want to be on the other side of compounding interest. You want to get to the point to where you're actually receiving interest and not always making these payments and never seeing these balances go away. And two, about emergencies, when we get in an emergency, those endorphins get to kicking off.
Right.
We get into do whatever mode. So I don't expect you to make good choices, right, in an emergency, which is why you need to help make your plans and choices ahead of time so that you have a basis to pick from when you're not thinking straight.
Very good point.
Okay, the next point I want to make is get caught up on your bills. So I know in this time, a lot of people have been laid off. A lot of people are not working as much. And so you may have gotten behind on your bills, your utilities, your rent. This is important because while evictions are being postponed, I encourage you not to take advantage of those um, of those regulations if you have the money to pay. In 6 or 7 months, when all of this this is deregulated again, landlords will be knocking on your door to get the money that is due to them. I would hate for you to have kept all that rent and are unable to pay it back. And if you haven't been good managing your money, certainly you don't think that you're gonna all of a sudden become a good manager of your landlord's money times 6 or 7 months, right? So I think that's very important. And the other side to that is, if you don't have the money, I think it's also important for you to seek out agencies. There are places that'll help you pay your utilities. There are places that'll help you get rent assistance. These are important things. I don't want us to ignore as your bills pile up. We need to be thinking about what we can do to contribute and pay those back down.
Very good. Let me ask a third question. This will be our final question for this interview. What are some ways that, we're talking about money, what we shouldn't do, what we should do. What are some ways we can invest in ourselves? I think that sometimes with this budget thing, with money issues and trying to build a better life, we sometimes get bogged down with it all, especially if bills are always coming in. You're already up to your eyeballs in debt. You mentioned the pandemic and how employment for some people has been a little more insecure. And so it can all become overwhelming. But the reality is, doing these things, though it may be overwhelming, though it may lead us to make decisions that are not always the easiest to make, it's for us, it's for our family. And so what are some additional ways that we can invest in ourselves?
And before we jump to that one, Chris, I wanted to say on the last thing on this, if you have your $1,000 emergency fund and if your bills are caught up, you should start paying off your debts. And I like to just say, start off with your smallest one, because like you said, it gets overwhelming. Right. So don't try to, pay the minimums on all of your other debts and then just start putting extra money towards the smallest balance that you have. Okay, and in terms of investing in yourself, I like to start there by go back to, what does the Bible say? Proverbs 18:16 says, a man's gift opens doors for him and brings him before great men. So to me, that says that we are all gifted with something, some purpose, some talent, some skill that will put you, if utilized, in places that you would normally not been able to, to be in. I think a lot of us have not tapped into what those gifts are, or you could have and just been, hampered down with life, and got out of your space to utilize your gifts. So I think it's important at this time, especially, to invest in yourself. Think of ways, think of things that you might be able to do that you've been wanting to do. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So turn that idea that you've had, that you've talked through, turn that idea into a business. This will be a great time for you to take some of that money and get it started. You have a talent that can be shared on social media. Right now, social media is everything, right? So share your talent, promote yourself, promote your brand. Even around social media, I mean, you can learn a new skill. Mm-hmm. There's so much online, if you're interested in, it's so much information out there. You dedicate this season to to that one thing. You know, I'm noticing that everybody wants to be a mogul now. So everybody wants to have 10 streams of income. And,
Right.
you know, it sounds good, but at the end of the day, you actually should try to do one good thing really good.
Right.
And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Maybe you've been wanting to go back to school. Like I said, get a trade, or learn more about a specific area that you don't know about. I think also right now with this virtual environment, there's a lot of opportunities for you to create a business around these things. Like there's so many parents that need help to keep their kids just on the computer, right? Like that is a job that I would be willing to pay someone for right now. You know, also tutoring or I need a virtual assistant right now. Like if you online anyway, I need a virtual assistant. Like there are people that need things that you could be doing. A lot of people need errands ran for them. A lot of churches I know, we have outdated social media pages. Could you manage someone's social media page? It's just like you need to tap into what you're good at, what you've been wanting to revitalize, what's something you're excited about. Maybe you lost your zest, but take this time to think through, okay, what can I do to invest in myself now that I will be glad I did come this time next year. My last part here is get a partner or a mentor. So for example, I'm in real estate. Real estate is very intimidating at first because it's so many different ways you can go with it. You know, you might want to be an investor and flip. You might want to just get rental properties or wholesaling. It's so much. You need to link up with someone who knows what they're doing. And like people like me, I would be glad to mentor someone in exchange for them doing some of the administrative tasks that I have to do, right? And it would be a great way for you to learn, get connected. I need somebody to manage my real estate page right now. So if it's something that you want to do, find someone, connect with them, and just start investing in yourself in that way.
Yeah, it's so funny that we think to invest in ourselves is always this real big thing. We have to read a couple of books and go get a degree. But what I like about what you're saying, Tamika, is it's not always a doctorate degree. Very often it's using things that you already do. Many young people, and not just young people, unyoung people spend obscene amounts of time online. Just imagine how a lot of what you're saying could monetize time that you spend doing these things anyway. Gifts and natural things that we have already, skills that we have already that could be something that really blesses someone else and that benefits us.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, Tamika, we're super, super thankful that you spent this time with us. Of course, this is just part one of a two-part series. So, Tamika will be back with us on next week. For more financial education, you can feel free to email Tamika at Holmes by Tamika@gmail.com. She is here to help, and she's really insistent upon hearing from anybody who has any questions. So please feel free to comment below, ask any question. Feel free to share this interview with anyone who has need. We all know somebody who has this need, and these are principles that apply to the refund, but in general, it applies to just how we spend money and how we look at money in general and how we can better our lives. And so, Tamika, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week, same time, same place.
All right.
All right. Bye now.